I thought I knew what to expect after joint replacement. I knew there would be pain. I knew that recovery would take time, but three things surprised me, and one of them had nothing to do with my body. Today, I'm sharing what surprised me most after surgery, including the realities of healing, experiencing ableism while using mobility aids, and realizing that becoming bionic changed more than just the way I moved. Welcome to From the Hip. I'm Tiffany Anderson. I am the health educator who became the patient, and after multiple surgeries and years of recovery, I've learned that there is life after joint replacement. Each week, we'll answer one question that I wish someone had answered for me. In the previous episode, we talked about preparing your home before you come home from surgery. That discussion was about safety. What I'm sharing now is the fact that I prepared for the surgery, but I wasn't prepared for everything that came afterwards. And ideally, these insights will help you or a loved one who are facing or living with joint replacement. And the first thing that surprised me after surgery was the pain and the healing. I simply underestimated the recovery and the time that it was going to take. And I'm talking about those early days of recovery when you're home from the hospital, even the first day after surgery, the brain fog, the confusion. There was an extreme amount of swelling that overwhelmed me and impacted every aspect of my day. I mean, basic things like hygiene and every little teeny movement, even how I slept. Those were the things that day by day became incredibly tedious and definitely tried my patience. And of course, there were the good days, there were the bad days, and making my way through that seemed as slow as molasses. I realized in those early weeks after hip replacement surgery, my ego and my body's ability to heal, they weren't on the same page. And I needed to show myself a lot of grace and go through those rough times and ultimately designed a new routine for myself. And you know what ultimately helped me through all of that is realizing that I simply needed to apply time management and have a plan, tasks that I could focus on well beyond the physical therapy exercises and just the day-to-day making my way through every moment. I wanted to have something written down and create a new wellness routine for myself. And so eventually I stopped measuring my recovery in weeks and I started measuring it by achieving small goals. The second thing that surprised me was that I didn't expect to experience ableism. Recovery from something as life-changing and intrusive as joint replacement requires mobility aids, and recovery does take time. So using a walker, using crutches, a cane, that is allowing the body to heal. It's helping. And ableism itself it isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's just a look. Sometimes it's an assumption. And sometimes it's someone deciding what you're capable of without even asking you. When you're visibly using equipment, then others can see. Then I need accommodations. You might need accommodations. And, most of the time I received the help I needed, and other times I did not. And fast forward months later, when I was walking more freely, though certainly had interior healing that was going on, I forever knew that I have limitations. And now, even years later, that I haven't needed any type of mobility device, though I still have limitations. When those limitations aren't visible, I've found myself having to explain or defend them Now, there are times and situations where an explanation is called for. Um, at work, for example, I have asked for certain devices that have been helpful for me in jobs I've had over the years since joint replacement, and even basic things like travel and TSA. A situation came up actually not that long ago, and a female TSA agent, as I was going through the scanner in preparation for a flight, then as I approached and pointed that I needed to go through the device when she was waving me through, she looked at me and shook her head. And I didn't want to yell across. It was a crowded airport. And I felt that that gesture communicated enough that I didn't need to over-explain. And yet she called out to me, yelling across the crowd and saying, "Ma'am, why do you need this?" And I was flustered, I was uncomfortable, I was in a hurry to make my flight, and I said, "I have joint replacement." And people looked, and I was uncomfortable, I was annoyed. And after I went through the scanner, and then I had to have one of those unfortunate pat downs, that she didn't apologize. And then as she was excusing me and said I could move on and go collect my bags, then she said, "Well, you don't look like you have joint replacement." And then I was, and that also baffled me, because I thought, well, they're inside, so of course, why would you think just from looking at a complete stranger that you would assume you could see inside their bones? And it was then that she got a little flustered and she apologized and disclosed to me that her husband had been living with hip replacement for a number of years, and he was still unable to walk very evenly. And she commented that as I walked towards the machine, she felt that there was no way that I needed to go through that machine. That's an assumption. My point being is that ideally for all of us, we get to decide how we talk about our health. There are those situations, such as an uncomfortable encounter with a TSA agent, that you might feel more compelled to disclose much more information than you normally would feel comfortable sharing. And here's the thought. If you're using a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, a brace, any other assistive device, you do not owe strangers an explanation. And if your limitations or disability is invisible, that doesn't make your limitations any less real. And the final thing that surprised me after surgery was acknowledging the fact that my body and my life was forever changed. As I entered into the process of receiving joint replacement, I knew I was getting an artificial joint. And what I didn't fully understand was that I was entering a different chapter in my life. See, as I was preparing for joint replacement, the surgeon had already informed me that the first surgery on my left leg wasn't going to be the only surgery. He forewarned me. He let me know that it wasn't going to be much longer before my right leg also needed joint replacement, because the heads of the femur on both legs had collapsed. What was happening is that, thankfully, joint replacement was an option for me, and that as I stepped into this process of becoming bionic, then I was working through the healing and the recovery and the days ahead, also knowing that there was another surgery coming up, and to be very careful along the way as I was caring for the new joint, that I didn't want to inadvertently dislocate the right one and ease into that second surgery. And being very aware of the complications and what joint replacement means for my future and for safety and taking good care of myself so I can remain mobile and take advantage of these artificial joints, which are offering me mobility and freedom and independence. And you know what ultimately happened for me is that throughout my surgeries and the periods of healing in between, I did take that time to grieve. I honored those feelings of pain and sadness and change and letting go of a way of life. And I learned to accept that my body wasn't going to go back to the way it was before surgery. And I learned to move forward with this new bionic body that I have today. Another additional surprise after joint replacement was that it led me to the 3 key concepts to improved health. And it's the foundation of my YouTube channel. It's part of a book that I put together for coaching clients. I have been a patient advocate and a wellness coach for years, and now I am my own caregiver. So I continue to practice what I preach. And I'll put links to some of those videos in the description below and put some cards here if you're interested. I soothe. That's how I manage chronic pain. I nourish because food is medicine. Food is powerful. And I rest. And the ways that I rest and get quality sleep, I invest in movement every single day. I hope this information was useful. Check out in the description. I'll have a few other goodies there for you, including a free handout that will tell you more about the 3 key concepts and how you can apply those in your life as well. What question should we answer in the next episode of From the Hip? Leave it below. If you're preparing for surgery, recovering, or caring for someone who is, subscribe and join us next week. Thank you so much for watching.